is weed and prostitution. Like that, it's stupid that weed and prostitution is not legal, because weed, I mean, hell, it's a plant, and prostitution, you doing it anyway. From a legal standpoint, people are having sex, so it's not illegal until you decide to pay somebody for it. But then you got to think about, well, what is considered payment? You know what I'm saying? Because if you're taking somebody out to dinner under the auspices of, if I take you out to dinner, we're going to have sex, you know, so it's a mutual agreement. How is that not prostitution?
What the fuck? No, that ain't got nothing to do with today's show.
Sorry about that, Chad. Where we at? Because I really want people to get to know who you are and the mindset that you come from, and just so they really get an idea of where you are going. And we're going to also talk about your platform and stuff as well.
The day you started your challenge was the first official voicemail from God, and we've got thousands of people that have watched the video. Why are you wasting so much of your life watching other people on TV live their dreams instead of you living yours?
Right. You ever seen a TV show where the star watches TV?
Never.
Right.
Never.
The Earth Webb Show. I think I forgot to stop it.
So anyway, let's go into that. So you have a platform, Divine Reminder, and
yes.
Tell us a little bit about Divine Reminder.
Divine Reminder for me is really it's a labor of love. It started out when I made the decision that I wanted to change everything about my life. I had been successful in business. I had a family and a home and cars and money in the bank and all that, and I was not happy. I was not fulfilled. So on the outside of my life, outside looking in, everything was good. The problem inside looking out, I was depressed. I was full of anxiety, fear, depression. I turned to, alcohol and drug addiction for a long time to try to fill that hole. And about a year ago, I decided to leave everything, and I sold my home, I sold my cars, I sold everything, and I moved to Florida in what I call a wholehearted search for Chad. I needed to find me. And so Divine Reminder is the offspring of that process.
Right.
Because now that I know who I am and my power within me, and knowing that it's within every single person on this planet, I felt that it was my life's work is to remind people of how powerful they are, and that they can have and do and be anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I know that this past week, and you saw my videos on the 30-day challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, the first day, brother.
It's tough.
Yeah, it kicked my ass. It is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It kicked my ass, man. Wait a minute, hold on, quick second, hold on.
Sure.
Okay. There we go. Yeah, so that first day really put a foot in my ass, man. I mean, from the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning is have a cigarette. Like before I have the coffee, I was watching what's the guy's name? Was it Reid Hoffman? I think it was Reid Hoffman, and he was interviewing I cannot think of that guy's name. Anyway, he was interviewing another guy, and he was talking about the cell phones and the power that the cell phones have over us and stuff. And I'm wrong about that. It was what's the name of the podcast? Mind Sense. The guy name is Andrew. Yeah, Andrew Smith or something like that. Anyway, The podcast
Not familiar.
Yeah, it was called Mind Sense or something like that. And the guy who
okay, good.
Yeah, the guy he was interviewing was one of the initial investors of Facebook, LinkedIn. He invested in all these places, and he was saying that the first thing you do in the morning is you check your cell phone. So they would say, well, no, that's not, I'm not addicted to my phones. They say, well, when you check your cell phone in the morning, when you first wake up or during your piss, you know what I mean? And so what's crazy about that was, for me, it was neither one. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I could care less about my cell phone. What I want to know is, where is my cigarette? I don't care what the damn cell phone is. Where's my cigarette?
You can't smoke your cell phone.
Right. Yeah, I want my cigarette, and I'm taking that to the bathroom while I take the morning piss. That's the way mine is going. Right. And then I supplanted the cigarette with the vape. So I started vaping.
Good.
But now I've let everything go. So that first day waking up with no cigarette, no nicotine in my vape, nothing, it's scary. I get why people wouldn't do it, because it is. I was driving down the street and my nerves was so crazy. I was thinking to myself, if I ram my car into somebody right now, in my mind, it's justifiable just to stop this thing. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. So anyway, but I'm on day 4 now, and I'm no longer the vampire. Now I'm starting to settle in. It's still there, but I settled in to the point to where it's manageable. So how is it? I know you took the challenge as well. How has it been for you so far?
I did. I quit smoking cigarettes. Probably 3 or 4 years ago. And I've been vaping as well for quite some time. I did put that down for almost 6 or 8 months. And then one day I decided to go to the store, and I bought 2 little, they're called Al Capones. They're just little small cigarillos, like they're cigarettes with a filter. And here was my mindset, right? I'm just going to smoke these 2 cigars and I'll be good. Well, a year later, right, I'm back to the vape. I'm back to that. And so I took the challenge. I did not quit cold turkey because I've tried to quit stuff cold turkey, and for me, it just didn't work. But I can tell you that over the last 2 days, I think I have hit my little vape, and I just use one of these little guys. It's just from the store, and I think I've hit it maybe 5 or 6 times in the last couple days, and I've noticed that I don't. It's not in my hand. It's not in my pocket. I'm still, if I'm ready to leave the house, I may still search for it a little bit, but I've consciously said, no, I'm just going to leave it here. I'm going to the grocery store. What do I need to smoke a vape to go to the grocery store? I mean, when you really start thinking about the stuff that we do with addiction, right, it's silly. If we can see ourselves doing the behavior, it's silly.
Yeah, I agree. So
I would definitely. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so you've been experiencing the phantom vape. That's what I call it. Where you start patting yourself just to make, like, you're scared to leave the house. Even if you don't vape while you're out, you just want to make sure it's on you, just in case the urge is unbearable and you have to smoke it. At least it's there in front of you. Yeah.
It's like, I equate this a lot to an infant and a baby. When they've got their binky, right, they're looking for that thing constantly. And so it does. It takes a little time for your mind and your mouth and your hands and even your eyesight and the things that you're going through during the day when you are typically we'll use smoking as the basic example. We're going to take this substance into us because we're trying to find some sort of relief. For me, though, the last couple of days, the first day was a little awkward. I had a little ups and downs with the emotional part, but I know from experience of quitting all kinds of other things that that's just part of the process now. So,
okay. So, there's a nice reward because at the end of the 30 days, I know you're in Florida, so you may have to make that trip. But we are having a barbecue here, for everybody to challenge. Yeah. So I just left one of the bars that's going to host the barbecue, and so they're going to do everything for us. And so that's going to be more than likely the second week of May. That's when we have that. So everybody get together and, just because we all went through it together. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, but you have a particular experience with addiction and, your background in dealing with addiction. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I started using alcohol at a very young age. I spent a lot of years in and out of the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been in probably 3 or 4 detoxes in a rehab. And I was I had addictions to prescription medications, which were prescribed to me for what I now know as a side effect of the drugs and alcohol. So I've been able to overcome the prescription medications, the marijuana, the cocaine I put away 15 years ago, alcohol, and any sort of mind-altering chemicals at this point. So other than sugar, a little bit of caffeine, and the occasional vape at this point, I have been able to walk away from the addictions in my life that were literally, that was my life. Even on the outside of the world, it looked good, but if you were to follow me around with a camera, it was not pretty.
Right. Well, you're looking good, and I saw on one of your Facebook, I think it was Facebook, where you posted where you had started working out, and
yes.
A before and after picture. I was like, okay then. So Chad over there. Yeah. I saw your guns coming out. Yeah. I said, look at Chad. All right. So let me ask you, because people will debate about what an addiction is or is not. So
right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like people will give themselves a way out there. Say, well, I'm not, you get addicted to cigarettes or alcohol or, sex or something like that. But I'm not addicted to cursing, or I'm not addicted to money, or I'm not addicted to, you know what I'm saying? Attention, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people out there are addicted to saying super, like super cool, or they're addicted to saying the word narrative. I hate that. Like everything is a narrative. It's the narrative behind the narrative. Shut up. But anyway, that's my own personal issue. So, but from your perspective, could you define addiction for me, just so we can start to build the framework here?
Well, we can do one of two things. We can look at the addiction as the actual defining or the definition of addiction, which is a primary chronic dis-ease of brain reward, motivation, and the related actions to that. And because of that, it's a dysfunction in that process where we are manifesting in biological, psychological, social, and spiritual manifestations, and is reflected in a person's inability to not pursue the reward or the relief that they believe they're getting by the substance, whether it be drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, or the activity, gambling, sex, pornography, your phone, saying the word super, those kind of things. So it really starts out, addiction is a twofold process. One is it is the obsessive thought in the mind that drives the body to do the activity. And when the brain says, I don't want to do that, then the body kicks in and says, we need it because we've been having it so long, we don't know what to do without it. So it's a body and it's a mental and physical dis-ease or disease, as the medical terminology would be. For me, my personal thought is it's an entrapment of something outside of myself that I'm trying to fill a hole, a void, a relief, a reward outside of just being okay with myself. There are millions of people that do not drink, smoke, snort, eat pills, all that, but every one of them has some form of an addictive behavior. Cell phones are a prime example.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you on that. I know for me, and it's funny because I was talking with my wife about that this morning, that me smoking cigarettes, when I stopped, even though it's only been 4 days, well, today is the 4th day. And 4
Congratulations,
days,
by the way.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, because it was awesome to kicking my ass.
We talked about that.
Right, yeah, it's killing me over here. But what's interesting though is I forgot what I was addicted to in having the cigarette. Does that make sense? So I was able to escape something. And I've been smoking for so long that I forgot what I was escaping from until I stopped. And once I stopped again, then those same things that I hadn't really healed from started to resurface. And I started becoming angry again. And when I started smoking cigarettes, it wasn't the nicotine that got me addicted. Of course it was the nicotine, but I didn't need cigarettes to feel cool. You know what I'm saying? Or you got to feel cool. It wasn't that. It was the nicotine helped me to escape my own thoughts. You know what I mean? Because my thought was constantly racing, and then at that time I had a real propensity toward anger. You know what I mean? And it would manifest itself in a very physical way. But if I smoked a cigarette or smoked some weed, I was kind of able to chill out. You know what I'm saying? But now that I've stopped, even though it's years later, now I'm not a teenager anymore. I'm a grown man with a child now. That same anger is starting to resurface. So it's like, yeah, you smoked the cigarettes, but you still didn't remedy the problem. So this problem is still here, and now you're getting ready to tear somebody's head off or get your head tore off. You see what I'm saying? You never can tell just because you still haven't dealt with those issues. I was just, to me that fall in line with what you were saying a minute ago as to the reason why people go into these addictions and fall for it. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's an attempt to relieve a lot of people. It's an attempt to relieve the obsessive thinking or the obsessive thoughts of their mind. And for all intents and purposes, most of us, myself included, for many years of my life, were gravitating towards negative tings, and there was anger issues, and there were unsolved questions. There was things that I was running from that I didn't want to face, obviously. As you get older, you find out that you cannot outrun them. And you can put as many drugs or alcohol or addictions on top of the root problem, which for me, understanding today, the root problem is that I didn't like myself. And I didn't think I was worthy. I didn't think I wasn't enough. There's a constant narrative, and there I use that word again. And in people's minds, right there, the thing that runs across the screen of their subconscious is, I'm not worthy. I can't stop smoking. I can't do it. And that problem it could be stemming from a childhood trauma. It could stem from issues with parents, early relationships. I had a relationship with my first quote unquote girlfriend, and something happened, and I got wind of something that she had said, and I was 37 years old before I came to realize that happened when I was a teenager, and she said those words, and she said it then. But for the last 27 years, I have been giving it all of its power. She kept on with her life.
Right.
And I let that stuff eat at me. So there's 7-year-old Chads, there's 10-year-old Earths, there's 6-year-old Earths and 5-year-old Chads running around the planet that are still running our lives, and we're in our 40s, 30s and 40s. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't know that, we never take the time to look at those things. We'll cover them up as best we can, and thinking that we're doing the right thing because we feel some sort of relief or reward in taking that thing inside of our body, which is a lie. It's a delusion and it's a lie.
Right. And it's great that you say it that way, because after you've been smoking for so long, you're not even aware of what you was covering when you started smoking. That was the issue that I didn't even realize that was still there. I thought, that I was completely over that. And until I stopped smoking, I was like, where's this coming from, So anyway, let's do. So let me ask you, because here's a major thing, right? For me, and I feel blessed in that I have this platform. And so,
yes,
because I want to try to help as many people as I possibly can, and also be able to kind of like, I'm a big techie guy, so I like data points and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So for me, it's a great thing to do because I can connect with this person, and it's a win-win. I can connect with them for data points, but then I can also connect with them from a sociological perspective at the same time, which reaches people at a much deeper level. So I like to just go deeper and deeper and deeper. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, your first name is Earth, so it's expected for you to be wanting to go deeper. Right. And I admire that, truly.
I appreciate that. So for those like myself as well, how do you begin to, before I say that question, what I was getting at was, because I have this platform, for me, it was more than just my selfish want to stop as to why I put this 30-day challenge on. There was also a business component to this as well. You know what I mean? So I have a double incentive to stop smoking.
Right.
It gives me a reason to post something every day for 30 days without saying, hey, check out my coffee cup. You know what I mean? Right. No one gives a shit about your coffee cup. You see what I'm saying? But you don't have anything authentic to put up. So it's just, look at my coffee cup.
Right.
Got this pen from the neighbor. You know what I mean? So for me, I can say, okay, hey, this is day 1. I'm going through hell. Day 2, I'm doing this. Day 3, I'm doing this. So there is a business component wrapped in this. But let's say I did not have this platform, which a lot of people don't have. How do they begin to take that first step of stopping?
That's an age-old question, Earth, for sure. And I'd say that my response is twofold. The first is, you have to ask yourself, am I quitting for me? Because the biggest motivator that I have ever found is our own subconscious mind. I have worked with the likes of Tony Robbins and Brendan Burchard, and I have worked with and been to all kinds of self-development and self-help seminars. But until you find the reason why you really want to stop, and that you realize that you are killing yourself, right? An addiction to smoking, and I'm just using the smoking at this point, addiction to smoking is and I'm using these harsh terms because if you really think about this is the reality. You are committing slow suicide.
Right.
You are putting into your body substances and things that you were never designed to ingest. The human lung was never designed to inhale smoke. It's just not designed for that. Even though it is resilient and we can beat that thing up to death for years and still be able to breathe, maybe not very well, but we're still able to breathe. We have to find out why are we quitting? If I've noticed in my experience that if I'm trying to stop something in my life for her or for you or for them or for this over here, it never worked. It never stayed. It was coming and going, right? It would be, okay, I quit for a couple weeks or a couple months, and then I go right back to it. And then, of course, the people around you who think that you're stopping for them because you told them that, look, honey, you know what? You're right. You know what? I smell like crap. It's cigarettes. My breath stinks. I'm spending, now cigarettes are $6 and $7 a pack, which is absurd. And we're still going to the store and buying them. But why do I want to quit? If it is not centered in you wanting to be a better version of you, or the highest version of you, or at least a higher version of yourself, oftentimes I find that people fail because there's no real motivation.
So let's unpack.
Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's unpack that. The highest version of you. So what exactly does that mean? Highest version of you?
For me, the highest version of Chad would be, let's use smoking. The highest version of Chad is the idea that I do not smoke. It is not a part of my life anymore. And look at the wonderful things that have come because of it. There's more money in my bank account because I'm not spending money on cigarettes and lighters and ashtrays and all that kind of stuff. I look better. Because once you stop anything that has been a part of your life, you will see that after the first part of the struggle, you'll start to see that your lungs clear up. And it may take a month or two because you're going to still cough because your body is making mucus because it's expecting it to get dry because you're inhaling dry, nasty, nicotine, chemical-filled smoke. So your body is making mucus in your lungs to combat that. So when you stop smoking, your brain and your body it takes time for that to go, hey, wait a minute. The smoke isn't coming in anymore. Maybe we don't need to make as much mucus. You're still coughing like a horse, but within a couple days, within a couple weeks, you'll start noticing that it's few and far between. The mucus isn't as deep. But the highest version of yourself is, what does it look like if you didn't do what it is that you're about to stop? The highest version of you. Wow, I know my hands are no longer stinky. My teeth are starting to get whiter because I'm brushing my teeth, but I'm not smoking cigarettes and nasty nicotine and smoking it every day. And my bank account's getting bigger because I'm not spending all this money on cigarettes and lighters and doing all that other kind of stuff that goes along with it. And then I realize, wow, I feel better. So there's a higher version of you. The version of you right now that you're living in, if you're smoking, is not the best version of you.
It can't.
It's not It can't be.
Yeah, because you're killing you. So,
right.
The higher version of you wouldn't want to kill you, right?
The best thing that I've ever said to myself and that I've ever helped with other people is ask yourself, are you willing to give up what is killing you in order to achieve the highest version of yourself in relation to this particular problem or substance?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you where that really resonates with me. I mean, outside of smoking, streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, even Amazon has one. I am so addicted to a good TV show. like you put a good show where you could tell, like for example, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I know all the guys, all the alpha males are gonna look at me and say, "Oh hell no!" Right? But I love Downton Abbey. I don't care, whatever. I don't care what anybody says. Right? Yeah. I like Downton Abbey. I think the writing in Downton Abbey is superb. There's another one out there that's right on the line with Downton Abbey. Anyway, I can't think of. But anyway, the writing on that is great. So it goes for 5-6 seasons. I will sit in the house and watch 5-6 seasons straight through. But I had to, and it really caught me during Breaking Bad. I had to say to myself, wait a minute, this is too much. You got to stop. So now what I started doing was I would only allow myself to watch a movie, and that's it. Because a movie has to end,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And then as a reward, if I get something done major, and it's, you know, something done, like for example, when I initially got the podcast, I got that first one down because I worked forever to get the first one. So once I finally got that first one and I could release, now you can find you an episodic show. And so then I found me another show, and I think I'm watching Rome. It's on Hulu.
Oh yeah,
I'm watching Rome.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Yeah. So, but I just tailor that back to what you were saying, that if you don't control it, then it literally will take over. And how much of you do you, how it's really go back to how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want to be the better you, such that you would sacrifice these current wants and needs? Like, it's in front of you right now, so you'll sacrifice that. Because if you were to take Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon out of the equation, you would be amazed at how much free time you have.
Yeah. What I have to ask myself, and I for me personally, about 10 years ago, I stopped watching the news. That was the first thing that really helped clear my mind, was to stop watching the news. And then I decided I had this question that came to my mind, which was, why are you wasting so much of your life watching other people on TV live their dreams instead of you living yours? Right.
You ever seen a TV show where the star watches TV?
Never.
Right.
Never.
Never. They're never watching TV. Yeah.
No. Anytime that you see or you get involved with movies and television, and you find yourself going, wow, I wish I could do that, you are already realizing, your soul is telling you that what you're doing is not productive, because you're watching somebody else live their dream on TV. So other people can see it instead of you living your dream. You're watching somebody else do that.
Mm-hmm. And just for clarification, I want to say that it's not just TV programs. If you're watching YouTube and you're watching other people live their lives, then you're still doing the same thing. If you finish watching this podcast and then you watch another podcast and another podcast and another podcast, you're still watching other people live their lives.
Right.
Because right now we're not watching TV. Essentially, we're making TV.
Correct. We're creating, which is our ultimate highest version of ourselves. And why we're even here on this planet as spiritual beings having a human experience is to create.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. It absolutely. And it's funny because you said you start watching the news. I've always thought of the news as like your timed apocalypse. So if you want an 8 o'clock apocalypse, you can, or your 6 o'clock apocalypse.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Every apocalypse is time. You 8, 6, or your nighttime apocalypse.
You can do 10 and 11 now, you know.
Right, you can do 10 or 11. Or you can do your CNN, where it's just apocalypse all day long. Just everything. I can tell you the news right now. Everybody's dying. The weather is bad. Somebody's starving. A new movie's coming out. And technology is going to kill everybody at some point. That's pretty much everything.
That's you hear it all day, every day.
Yeah, all day. So you have a interesting mnemonic for love.
I do.
Yeah, let's go into that. That one is real cool. I told you need to make that into a T-shirt.
Actually, there's funny you say that. I have a meeting tomorrow with a marketing company that wants to. They want to take the Divine Reminder to a much different place than I could have ever imagined when I first started this whole process. So the first thing is to find out why you want to quit, and make sure that the reasons that you're quitting, doing whatever it is you're doing, is to satisfy yourself. Other people will get benefit from it, but this is about you, and this is about stopping the slow suicide of yourself. Right. The next is to find out who you really are, right? And so when you find out who you are, you find out that you are all-powerful, all-knowing, and you have the energy inside of you that is divine. And you are part of and I use this analogy, you're the wave in the ocean. The wave is unique. It has all of the attributes of the ocean, but it's a microcosm of the ocean, right? But without the power of the ocean behind it, the wave doesn't exist. Does that make sense? So when I say that we're a threefold being, right? We were created in the image and likeness of the Creator, if you want to go biblical. But we're conscious, we're subconscious, we're superconscious. We're mind, we're body, we're spirit. When these three things come together, it forms the ultimate energy, which where we all come from, and I call it love. Because if you use the word God, most people get kind of taken aback by that, especially millennials. And so in meditation, I asked my highest self, what do you want the world to hear when I start describing the most powerful, divine energy that is within all of us? And the answer was love. Love. And that stands for life's omnipotent vital energy. Love. We all come from life's omnipotent vital energy. And if you're not familiar with those four words, life is what separates us from the rocks and the dirt. Omnipotent, in short form, is all-knowing, all-powerful, everywhere, all the time. Vital means necessary for life. It's a necessity. It is necessary for life. And energy is something that is generated. It comes from nothing. It goes back to nothing, just like electricity. You cannot kill it. You can only change its form. So life's omnipotent vital energy is what's keeping my heart beating and your heart beating and everybody that's ever going to watch this for the rest of eternity. It's what's keeping your heart beating right now, and you're not telling your heart to beat. That energy is pure love, life's omnipotent vital energy. And so that is my explanation of the divine power that is within every single person, plant, animal, sunset, bird on this planet.
Let me ask you this, because okay, so when you initially told me that I you know how I do, so I started really going deep into it, and I was wondering, could I get that in life forms, right? So as far as me, you, my dog, my fish, I see that in life forms, but could that also be transferred to activities? Like, say for example, I'm like, for example, in a minute I'm getting ready to begin studying for a really big exam. Okay. So I was thinking, I wonder if I could apply Chad's mnemonic to this exam. So the life of this exam, is omnipotent. And then you take in the I always want to say the vitality. Because it's necessary for me to pass this exam.
Vital.
It's vital, right? So so then I look at that, and then the energy. If I put that much energy into it, right? So like you said, the energy can either be created or destroyed, but it can be transferred from one thing to the next. So I could transfer that energy to my studies. Again, it's vital, omnipotent. And as I am putting this amount of focus on it, it has a life force. Am I wrong in being able to ascribe this mnemonic to an activity, or can it only be ascribed to a life form, like a living, breathing life form?
I would say that first off, there is no right or wrong, at least in my belief system and in the way I believe, there is no right or wrong. There just is, right? And so if you want to apply life's omnipotent vital energy to your exam, what that really is, the exam is incapable of being life's omnipotent vital energy. But you, as the creator, as the microcosm of all. You are a masterpiece, meaning that you are a piece of the master. You have you have access to and already know everything you need to know in order to ace the exam. The question is, do you believe that or not? Instead of looking at it and saying, I don't know if I'm going to pass this, imagine if you said, I know I'm going to pass this, and what ends up happening is our subconscious mind, when we believe something to be true and we are thankful for it, instead of saying, I got to take this test. Well, no, you get to take this test, because the alternative is that you're dead, or that you're not going to take this test. You're not going to find your dream because you found a reason not to do it. So yes, life's omnipotent vital energy, you can apply it to anything in your life, because life's omnipotent vital energy is in everything.
Right.
Everything.
Right. Okay, so let's do the polar opposite of that then. Right.
So, polar opposite of love, life's omnipotent vital energy, is fear. It's been called false evidence appearing real, F everything and run. For me,
F everything and run. That's a good one. I never heard it that way. Everything and run.
Right? I mean,
oh God, I can see that there's got to be a cornerback or a linebacker out there somewhere that's like, yo, I'm gonna make that that's my new name, Fear. When you see me on the field, F everything and run. That's a good one. I like that.
Yes. So if the Atlanta Falcons are watching, or anybody's watching, and you're a football team, you're a defensive player, and you're going after the QB or whatever, you're going after the wide receiver about to catch the ball, you just scream at them, fear! I'm coming for you. You better F everything and run. I'm coming. So for me, in meditation, asking God or a life's omnipotent vital energy, what do you want the world to know about fear, other than it's a polar opposite of love, but it's not real, right? Fear is an instinct. So if a bear is running after you in the woods, the fear instinct is going to serve you very well, and it's going to make you F everything and run, right? Yeah. That makes sense.
Because a bear is a realistic threat.
Correct. Your life is in danger, right? The fear of stopping smoking cigarettes will keep people smoking for decades, but it's not real. It is fake energy that is altering your reality. The fear is making you believe something that isn't true. Does that make sense? And it will lock you. Well, you will use it to lock yourself in a cage called smoking cigarettes for decades. Until one day you realize that that's not real, and you look down at your hand and you're like, oh, I had the keys to this the whole time? You mean I could have went over here and unlocked the keys of smoking for the rest of my life and walked from here and these prison walls would fall? And I have that power? Once you realize that the power is within you to stop, because you don't really want to kill yourself. If I said what you're doing is killing yourself, most people go, I've never thought of it that way. It really starts creating the conscious mind to start thinking, this is probably the silliest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm doing this because I'm afraid of withdrawals. I'm afraid of what does my life look like if I stop this, right? So people that drink for years, they're so afraid to stop drinking because they're afraid, what is life going to be like if I don't have a beer in my hand? How am I supposed to go to a wedding, or how am I supposed to go to a friend's birthday party, or how am I supposed to go out to eat with friends and everybody else is drinking? No. And so fear, fake energy that is altering your reality, which means you're allowing it to happen, will keep people in a state of perpetual harm and hurt and a cycle of destructive behavior and thinking, sometimes their entire life.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And you know, when you say that a lot of people don't know that they're killing themselves, I think from my experience, a lot of people know that they're killing themselves. Like they'll jokingly say it. You know, I'm just sitting over here killing myself in peace. You know, they'll say stuff like that, but they don't believe. And I get it, because for me it was the same thing. Like, when you wake up in the morning and the first thing you want is a cigarette, that shows that it has a strong grasp. I've smoked cigarettes. I'm just being completely transparent. I've smoked cigarettes in the shower.
Oh yeah, me too. Back in the day.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, you got a problem. You can't even take a shower without a cigarette.
I used to tell people all the time, I said I was such an alcoholic that I would kick beer cans out of the bathtub in the morning just to take a shower.
Yeah, for real.
And that's my truth. That was the truth.
Yeah. So what I realize is it's the addiction is so strong that you have come to the conclusion, and you are now fine with the fact that you are killing yourself. You know, it's funny because my aunt was telling me a story of one of her friends, and she went to the doctor with her, and she finally got the diagnosis that she had cancer, and that there was nothing that they could do about it. And she turned to my aunt and she said, "Well, I finally killed myself." That was that was really profound. You know, she said, "Well,
you just put goosebumps on me, Earth, because it's true."
Yeah.
And we don't. You know, we eat nasty food and wonder why our bodies are screwed up. We smoke cigarettes and all kinds of other things, and we wonder why our lungs and we're dying of cancer. Yeah. We watch, ungodly amounts of TV and entertainment, and we wonder why we're so dissatisfied, because we're programmed to think that I need a big house and a big car, and I need to have this person and this kind of job and this much money in order to be happy, and it's all a lie. It's all fake. Yeah. It's fake.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do the 30-day challenge. It's not about you stop smoking cigarettes. It's about you really loving yourself and finding your purpose for being here. Even if you don't subscribe on the channel, I'll say like and subscribe, or don't like and subscribe. You know, the truth is, I don't give a shit if you like or subscribe or not. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a millennial. Like, it doesn't make me popular around my household because I got 5,000 or 200,000. I don't give a shit. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
But it is about other people. Like, if you've been fighting whatever it is that you're addicted to, this is the time. Like, I'm just trying to offer another reason for you to say, okay, I'm going to jump in and try it this time. You may never subscribe to my channel. I don't care, whatever. But it's the fact that you say, hey, I'm going to try this thing out. Because like you were saying a minute ago when you talked about they don't know that they're killing themselves. I was just thinking, I got a warped mind. But anyway, I was just thinking, I bet you they could stop smoking if I lined up 10 individuals who are addicted to cigarettes. And they say, I can't stop smoking. And I start down here at 20. Let's say I lined up 20 guys. I started at number 20. And I just start shooting people in the head.
Yes.
I bet you by the time I get to the third person,
everybody's done.
Everybody's through smoking.
Right. That's because most people don't make a decision. Look that word up. Decision. Decide. Right. It is to separate. It's very similar to the word divorce, which is to separate or divide from.
Right.
And when people make a decision, once the decision has been made, almost nothing on the planet can stop the human psyche, the human power from stopping that. Once I made a decision that I wanted to fall in love with me, and when you fall in love with yourself, you start looking at the things around you that you are putting into your body, the behaviors that you're doing, the way that you're treating yourself and others. Because if you're in love with someone or something, you would never harm it.
Right.
You would never think of, I use the analogy, right? We wouldn't go to a bonfire, stand next to the bonfire and just go, just give me some more fumes, man. Give me some more of that smoke. That would just be retarded, right?
Or Burning Man.
But we will go reach into a little pack. We will pull out a miniature bonfire, we will light it, and then stick that bonfire in our mouth and start sucking on it.
Right.
That's how silly what we're really doing is.
Right. Yeah, the injection system. It's funny when you say the decision. I have to give credit to females. That's what really let me know how powerful a decision. Because when a female decides that she is done with you, like I'm done, it's almost no coming back from that. You can drop off flowers, candy, new cars, houses. It doesn't matter. She would from that point forward. I don't feel the same way. I don't feel the same. It's done. It's over. That's it. There's nothing you can do. But okay, so we've covered a lot. So we know what the addiction is, right? We know what love is. We know what fear is. How do you begin to, and I'm gonna say the word, rewrite the narrative? How do you begin to rewrite the narrative?
Well, I think that. Go ahead.
No.
I think the first thing in rewriting a narrative is to understand what the current one is. And what I mean by that is, what are your current ideas, thoughts, and beliefs about stopping anything, for example? And most people are saying things either to themselves or to others. I want to stop smoking cigarettes. I hate smoking, but I just can't seem to quit. I know it's bad for me, but I just, I can't stop. Or I tried to quit, but day one I went batshit crazy, pardon my French. I went bananas and I just couldn't handle it, so I started smoking again. If that doesn't sound familiar to you, then you probably don't have an addiction to cigarettes. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely.
So now we've got the first part, is we've recognized what are we actually saying into the universe. If I am a threefold being, I have the image and likeness of my creator. That means I'm a creator. Then when I say something into the universe with feeling and emotion, then the universe has no recollection or understanding of good or bad. Its job is to merely bring into your experience more of what you believe already. So the words are the second level of creation. The first is thought, right? So if you think, I want to stop smoking cigarettes, you go, okay, I'm going to stop smoking cigarettes, right? All right. And then you say, I want to stop smoking cigarettes. And you might start talking to your best friend. You may talk to your wife. You may talk to somebody at work. And you say, we've been thinking, I think I want to stop smoking. What ends up happening is, look at the words of the narrative and imagine yourself as the universe. Imagine yourself as a genie. When you hear the words, I want to stop smoking, and the universe says, okay, I'm going to create, I'm using a big word, I'm going to use the universal word is to contrive, which is to bring all of the forces together in order for you to experience wanting to stop smoking cigarettes. Which is why people will stay in a perpetual state of wanting to stop smoking cigarettes, because they've never, ever looked at what they're telling the universe they want to experience. The proper thing to say is, thank you, now that I am no longer a smoker. Thank you that I am now smoke-free. Thank you for all of the money that's in my bank account that I never even realized I was spending, now that I am smoke-free. It is a much different but a very slight twist on what you're saying into the universe. And it takes time to learn that. The best way to do it is to write it out and start thinking about it and putting it on postcards and putting it in your wallet and putting it in your pocket. Put it wrap it around a pack of cigarettes that are empty. Put something in the pack that makes it feel like a pack of cigarettes, but wrap around it a piece of paper that says, thank you, now that I no longer do this. I no longer need this in my life. So when we rewrite the narrative, we have a new thought. Wow, I'm free of cigarettes. I no longer smell like it. I no longer smoke. I no longer need it. I no longer do any of these things. I'm free, right? That's what you're looking for when you quit anything, is you're looking for freedom.
So
go ahead.
Let me say this. So the way that I break that down based on what you said is, if I was to put it into somewhat of an analogy or not, just something where I can see it, at this point, I have stepped into no longer smoking. So it's not like I'm looking at it as saying I'm going through the process of smoking, because that's still like I want to stop smoking, because I'm going through the process of stop. From what I'm gathering is I have stopped smoking. And since I have stopped smoking, what are the things that I'm going to do so that I don't go back to smoking? But I've already stopped. So it's not I want to stop or I'm going to stop. I have stopped. Like today, I have stopped. And so going forward, just so I won't go back, I curtail my smoking, or I, limit the time frames and all of that stuff. But I have crossed the line of stopped smoking. So I'm officially no longer a smoker. So it's no longer I want to stop. I have stopped.
So now the universe, if you continue that thought process, right? So we're replacing one for the other, right? Takes about 21 days for you to rewire your brain, your neural pathways. And this is scientific. You can go to YouTube and you can go to any university and look this stuff up. But the neural pathways take about 21 days in order to change, right? So because you've been saying the same thing over and over and over again, and you've been living in a perpetual state of being a smoker, your brain has, there's something that goes over top, it starts to form. It's a protein, and it allows those neurons and the receptors in your brain to literally jump. The ideas and the thoughts jump from one to another, which is why you are perpetually smoking for the rest of your life. Now, when you rewrite the narrative, right? Think of a book. We got to chapter 5. Chapter 5 was Chad stopped smoking. Chapter 6 is the new narrative. You just spoke a truth when you said, I've already stopped smoking. Now it's just a matter of continuing to stay stopped. Most people can't get to that. Do you know how far you've already come in what you're trying to do? That is celebration. I mean, you have already started the process of rewiring your own brain, your neural pathways, and your mindset is now grateful that you're not smoking. Because so many of us get into it and we're only doing it for 30 days. And here's the thought in the back of their mind. Man, I can't wait for this damn 30 days to be up, because I'm about to smoke me a pack in about a whole night. You know what I mean?
Right.
That guy, he's not ready. He hasn't made a decision.
Yeah,
he has a lurking notion that he's going to still do this, but I'll just satisfy this person or this challenge or this thing. I'll achieve that. Everybody will give me a pat on the back, and then I'm going to go home and smoke my brains out.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you. Realistically, that person probably won't make it through the 30 days.
9 times out of 10, they don't.
They won't. It sounds good at first, and you might get through the first, especially something like smoking, you might get through the first 2 days. A person like that, I would say, because I know for me, the urge to smoke is so strong that first day. There were several times in the first day I had to stop and say, come on, get it together. Like literally like stopping, and like at one point I was sweating, but it wasn't. But it wasn't hot. You know what I mean? Like I'm sweating. I'm really having physical manifestations within the first day of this withdrawal. It's not day 2, 3, and 4. This is day 1.
Withdrawal.
With the serious withdrawal. So that person, you're not gonna make it through. You won't make it through day 2 if you're not serious about this thing. You won't make it. It's too much. So
9 times out of 10, they won't take the action to think about what are their current thinking. 2, they won't go through an exercise to write out like what is the highest version of me now that I don't smoke anymore?
Right.
I have this, I do this, I'm able to do this, I'm able to run better, I'm able to have more energy, I don't stink, I'm saving money, my teeth are starting to become whiter, and oftentimes it may also have to do with relationships, because when little kids get around people that smoke, and when they go to school, smoking's bad, period, smoking's bad.
Right.
So, they're constantly reinforcing to us that, what you're doing is you're killing yourself.
I'll tell you one of my greatest things that I will kind of give myself credit for, if there's anything, is if you notice, like behind me, not to give it a shout out or nothing, but that's my clothing line, 3 a.m. And the 3 a.m. Is about the third eye. So at 3 o'clock in the morning is when the brain is at its peak, so that's why, the symbol is there for 3 a.m. and, it's the third eye. So it sits here, right? And that's the third eye. But in 3 a.m., one of the things that I like to put a lot of focus on is the value of pain. I know I sound like a sadomasochist right now.
No, you're right.
But it's the truth. It's the value of pain. So I feel like, when I started smoking cigarettes, it was painful, because when you first start smoking cigarettes, you don't know how to smoke the cigarette. So you inhaling, you're not inhaling it the right way, and then you start coughing and choking on the cigarette. It's burning your chest, but you keep going, you keep enduring the pain. And then you taught yourself how to smoke, and now you're enjoying the rewards of smoking. So it's the same thing to get off of it. To get off of it, you've got to go back through that pain again. And after you go through that pain, then you'll reap the rewards of not smoking. But what's consistent on both ends of that spectrum is pain. Either way, you got to go through the pain. Yeah. So
and don't delude yourself that it's not going to happen.
Right.
Because some people are like, now I am a firm believer that the more you speak of that, like I don't have. So when I started quitting these things in my life, I would always continue to say that the withdrawal symptoms that are in my mind are not real.
That's powerful.
And so what I did was, instead of enforcing or reinforcing with mental power and energy, life's omnipotent vital energy behind that, I was able to put my life's omnipotent vital energy behind the idea that the withdrawal symptoms are not nearly as bad as I think they are. It's not nearly as bad as what I heard on TV or what I read in a book. Because for me, right, I'm the creator of my own life, my withdrawal symptoms are not that bad. And they weren't. Right. Now, years ago when I tried stopping stuff, which would never work, withdrawals were like the biggest nightmare. As soon as my hands started shaking, I was back to the bottle, back to the cigarette, back to the snorting, back to whatever it was, because my hands would shake. Right. And I hated that. I hated it. So over the last couple of years, and putting all of these things away, as a child would put away toys that they no longer use, that no longer entertain them, and that no longer serve them, right? As the creator, I put these things away as toys, as a child would put a toy away. I reinforce that with the withdrawal symptoms that I've experienced are nothing of what I've heard and nothing of what other people have been through. And that starts to become your reality, right? Because you're supplanting in your subconscious mind what you're putting into the universe, and then the subconscious mind is in control of contriving so that your withdrawal symptoms are not nearly as bad as what other people would experience.
Right, yeah, no doubt. Because what's real is what you experience is real to you. So
correct.
If you change your experience, you'll change what's real. Yeah, it's funny because a friend of mine, he went to the Iraq War, and when he came back, he said, "I wasn't afraid of the war until I came back to the United States."
Yep.
When he saw it on the news, that's when he was afraid of the war. But when he was in the war fighting, he wasn't afraid. But when he came here and saw it on the news, then he became afraid. He said, dude, it's nowhere near what they're showing on the news.
Of course not.
Yeah, and I think
that's another reason I don't watch the news.
Right, and I agree with you as far as the withdrawal. Like it's never as bad, or the reverse. It's never as bad as you think it is, or it's worse than you think it is. It can work in both ways.
And usually the person that's experiencing the bad withdrawals They've already set themselves up for it. That's already in their mentality.
Right.
They're already expecting everything to be bad and the worst. And then they're upset when it's the shittiest experience of their life, pardon my French.
Right. Yeah. I agree 100%. And like people who have sex addictions, like for them, it's not there. And so to them, there is no withdrawal, and it's absolutely fine. And then all it takes is the right woman to cross you, and boom, that's it. Or the right temptation, because you're not giving that thing that you have its proper respect. So now when you tell your wife, I won't cheat on you again, you end up cheating again, because you never really gave it the respect that it deserved. So you put yourself in tempestuous situations over and over. And that's how you end up cheating again and again, because you keep telling yourself that you're not addicted when really you are addicted.
Yeah. For me, it took about 3 months of constantly checking my thoughts, constantly checking my words, and constantly checking my actions for me to be able to stop the obsessive thought, right? So when a female that is attractive to me before this, the last thing I looked at was her face. It was tits, pussy, ass, tits, pussy, ass.
That's it.
Right? Today, because life's omnipotent vital energy is within every human being on this planet, meaning that God, or the energy of the universe, is in human form in this beautiful thing. I can admire the thing. It's the lustful, when I've got her bent over the chair, in my mind, I've got her bent over the chair, that's when I'm in trouble.
Right.
Because now I'm entertaining the thought. The thoughts are going to come. The thought is going to come. I need a cigarette. Now, the question is, are you going to dismiss that for your new narrative, which is, wait a minute, that doesn't serve the highest version of me. I'm a non-smoker. I don't do that anymore. I am healthy. I have more money. And you go back into the mindset of what you're getting from not doing it. So it's like a channel on TV. Do you entertain yourself with the thought of, man, I need a cigarette, to the point where the next thing you know, you're smoking? Or do you turn the channel back to, wait a minute, the new narrative or the new channel or the new TV show of the Earth Web is, I don't smoke anymore. It's beautiful. And I love it.
Man, I'm going to tell you, and I will go into this, but we'll be here forever. But because, when you're watching TV, I was going to go into the dopamine that's being shot to you from the social media and all of that stuff, and how that actually impacts the brain. And you can't resist things because you're used to this dopamine rush constantly. Right. So it's bringing down your ability to resist, which essentially makes you an android. But anyway, we won't go into all of that because, there's a lot that they can get from you and your channel. So let's tell them about some of the products and services they can get from Divine Reminder. And then after that, I'd like you to go into, the name Divine Reminder and, and services that they can get from you.
So right now it's a building process, but if you go to Facebook and like and follow the page Divine Reminder, where our service right now, it's twofold. So what I'm doing as a labor of love, and it came to me in meditation, and I went through a pretty cool process to where it is today, but we produce something called voicemails from God. And so every day, Monday through Friday, at about 5:15 or 5:16 in the morning, you can get a voicemail on your phone, directly to your phone, and it is a voicemail from God. So it's about a 1 to 1.5 minute excerpt or a voicemail from God. And it covers, and I just started this, right? So it was launched April 1st. So the day you started your challenge was the first official voicemail from God, and we've got thousands of people that have watched the video, and our Divine Reminder page went from 8 people to 52 in 3 days. And it's been a very powerful thing. People are sharing it on Facebook, and they're telling their friends to sign up, and it's just, it's a reminder that God, or life's omnipotent energy, life's omnipotent vital energy, or Buddha, or Krishna, or whatever label you want to put on that energy, is speaking to you. is universal, right? So, some people ask me, well, what religion do you subscribe to? And I say, I don't subscribe to any religion. I subscribe to, we are all children of the same universe. You can call it whatever you want. It's irrelevant. Whatever makes you happy, right? So these voicemails from God are reminders of who you are, that you are loved, that you are all powerful, that you can do and have and be anything that you want to be. You just have to believe and go through the creative process. And it'll start talking about how to create and talking about the 3 levels of creation: thought, word, and deed, thought, word, and deed, thought, word, and action. So it's a training ground for people. And the reason we're doing it on the cell phone and through Facebook Messenger is, to your exact point, people are addicted to their cell phone. So what better medium to deliver to them a good, positive message every single day? And nobody else has ever thought of doing it in the voice of God.
Right.
And so I think the divine universe chose me. I've been a voiceover actor. I've done accents. I've done this kind of work before. And when the thought came, wow, what if you did this and you did it in a voice that mimicked a God's voice? I wonder what people would say. And the reaction has been nothing but positive so far, and I'm just super grateful. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is that I do personal coaching. So I do spiritual coaching, personal coaching for people who are trying to overcome addiction, people that are trying to get over divorce or loss or relationship problems, as well as people that are stuck in a perpetual state of fear, anger, and resentment. So those are 3 of my main points, and I do personal coaching. I usually work with them for a couple of weeks, and if it makes sense, then we continue. And there's a small fee, but usually within the first couple of weeks, we'll find out the first thing I'm going to find out is, are you really serious? Right? Or are you just doing this to try to get your wife off your back? Or if you're really serious about trying to overcome something in your life that is destroying you, or destroying your relationships, or sabotaging your business, or sabotaging your career, I love to do. It's just a labor of love, and I'm so blessed to be able to do that from a sunny Southwest Florida.
Yeah, I'm still jealous about that, but yeah. Right, just rub it in, Gavin. Yeah.
I've had a couple people come and work with me here at my condo here in Florida, and it's a peaceful place. It's and for some people it's the mountains. For some people it's different areas, but for me it was the beach. It was the warm sun. I'm addicted to palm trees. I think they're the most majestic plant on the planet. I don't know why. It's just who I am. And so in the future, we're going to have a series called How to Become the Hero of Your Own Life.
Okay.
So stay tuned for that. And that's going to be a training course about how to really implement the things that I would be using in our one-on-one coaching as an actual outline and a program that people can subscribe to. There'll be a small fee for it, but there'll be webinars, there'll be live webinars interacting with me. You'll also have workbooks and worksheets and things like that you'll be able to use to help you find out who you really want to be, and then start to move towards becoming the hero of your own life. Because today, when I look in the mirror, I no longer see an addict. I no longer see somebody who's sad and depressed and sick and fearful. I see a very powerful man, and I'm in love with that guy today.
Right.
And he's the hero of my life. So if I was to tell you the story, nobody came into my life. I mean, there's lots of people such as yourself that are in my life that are helping me to become the highest version of myself, which is the divine reminder, a reminder of divinity and a teacher of truth. That's my tagline, right? So if you think of what is the divine reminder, what do? I'm a reminder of divinity. I want to remind you of the power that's within you, and you can overcome anything in your life. And I'm a teacher of truth, Because I'm not going to try to get you to think that I'm some sort of guru. I'm going to make you realize that the power to overcome all of your life's obstacles is within you.
Mm-hmm.
Because humans have a tendency to fail, right?
Right.
But your energy, your life's omnipotent vital energy will never fail you, ever. It's within you.
So when are you going to start your podcast? Because we talked about this in Atlanta. You got to start a podcast.
Yeah. So the podcast, which will be called Coffee with God, and it'll be somewhat of a Coffee with God or Breakfast with God, and we're not quite sure yet. But I'm meeting with a marketing company tomorrow to talk about the platform and how we're going to do that. And so that'll be a series that we want to put together. It'll be free, right? And eventually we're going to be interviewing some people on that podcast. And we're going to be talking about books like Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh.
Oh, cool.
We'll be talking about books like The Sermon on the Mount by Emmett Fox.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be talking about the Bible, primarily the New Testament, primarily the book of Matthew and the Lost Gospel of Thomas. Because the message in all of these things, from all of these masters, from all of these sources, are all the same. You can have, do, and be anything that you want, and the power of the universe is within you, and you are not separate from God or divinity or whatever. It is within you. So the message is the same, meaning that we're the creators of our own life, the creators of our own experience. And when we know that, you can literally do anything. I mean, I'm sitting on a podcast right now with you,
mm-hmm.
and the way that you and I met,
mm-hmm.
there is no coincidence that you and I are having this podcast, because somebody's going to listen to this through your medium, through your platform. They're going to hear something that we talk about today, and it's going to change their life.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to say, well, maybe I can do this. Maybe I do have the power within me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe this guy's not, maybe he's right. Maybe I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of, these guys are full of crap. They can do it, but I can't. No. I apologize. I kind of rambled there.
No. And I just want to tailor off that too, because my thing, I can't help it. I'm a very aggressive person. So the person that's saying maybe I can do that, absolutely, you can do it. And the person that's saying, well, you know what, I probably can't do that. You know what, you probably can. That's the dark truth. You're right either way. You're right if you say you can't do it. You're also right if you say you can't do it. So it's up to you. Like they used to say, either shit or get off the pot.
Well, the Henry Ford said it best, I think. He said, whether you believe you can or you believe you can, either way, you're right.
Either way, you're right. Yeah, exactly.
Because you're creating your life by your thinking, your action, your thoughts, your words, and your actions create your reality. Your perception is creating your reality. Your perspective on life is creating your reality. Mm-hmm. Most people's perspective on quitting something is that they can't do it, or that they think that makes them who they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't stop smoking. I'm a smoker. I'm a manly man. No, you're killing yourself. You realize that?
Mm-hmm.
Manly man, that you're killing yourself.
Yeah.
And so your kids are watching you kill yourself. Your family is watching you kill yourself, and they're sitting there wondering, why are you doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times it's because something deep down inside, if we go back to the very first part, there's something that's eating away at them. It's a relationship that failed. It's a parent that died. It's something that was inside of them that they haven't dealt with. And part of becoming the hero of your own life is a process for you to be able to come to grips with and overcome all of those self-limiting beliefs, ideas, and fears from your past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you got to save yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, brother, I feel like that's a great place to end off on. I appreciate your time. Let me ask you,
Thank you.
Is there, you want to give out your email, the email address that you want people to contact you through, or your Facebook page, exactly what it is and stuff like that?
Sure. On Facebook, it's just Divine Reminder. You'll see a very interesting logo, which is two hands. It's like this. And inside of the hands is a light burst, which is you're holding the universe. You're holding your own life in your hands. And you are in the loving hands of the Creator. So not only are you in control and the master of your own life, but you are safe and loved unconditionally by the Creator. So Facebook is Divine Reminder. And then if you want to email me directly, it is God's Divine Reminder @gmail.com.
Okay. Now, for those of us who don't have Grammarly subscriptions, can you spell divine?
Sure. It is DIVINREMINDER. Divine Reminder.
Yeah, I had to put that out there because I know there's somebody like, see, divine, is that D-I or is that D-E-V?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But then there's somebody in the comments like, I can't believe you don't know how to spell this. If you go to the bottom of any video and look at the comments, it's like you can get 2 or 3 good comments and then they just go into the depths of hell like immediately, so... Anyway, brother, I appreciate you being on the show, man. We got to bring you back. I hope you can make it out to the barbecue in May. But if not, we still gonna shoot some video and I'll send it to you. And that's about it, brother. Let's continue these 30 days, man. And looking for. And I get the daily reminder, and it's been a blessing for me.
Yes.
And I will also say,
thank you.
Yeah, I will also say as well, just for others, to sign up and get the daily reminder and try to put aside the fact that there is a voice that is saying this to you. Because then people say, oh, well, this is some cult stuff because, it's a voice that's being said to me. It's supposed to be God. It's not about that. It's the intention behind it. It's coming from a good place. And and the purpose of it is to take you to a good place. And so you start off your day in a good place. But you have to put aside your own negativity to say, oh, well, this is really just Chad, saying this stuff. No, it's not just Chad. It's a vessel. It's energy that's coming through. And that energy is being brought to you and actually taking this damn thing here and making something useful out of it.
Well, this will be the first time I've said this in a public forum, but how those voicemails from God come about is I get into meditation and I have a notepad and a pen and I ask the creative energy, the Father of Light, whatever you want to call it, what do you want your children to know today? What do you want me to remind them about today? And then I sit quietly for a couple of minutes, and once the pen starts moving, it comes through me. It's not from me, it comes through me. And then I go into my little studio and I record it, and I use some software to create the voice of God, and then I post it. So, for those naysayers or people that may think, I would just suggest try it. And if you don't like it, you can unsubscribe at any time. I want to thank you for one, inviting me to the Earth Webb Show.
Absolutely.
Which I will be posting this on Divine Reminder, and we'll be sharing this with thousands of people at this point. So I'm really excited about being able to help you as well. Mm-hmm. And what you're doing and your creative energy and the fact that you're not sitting in front of the television watching somebody else's dreams come true, that you're making your dreams come true, I think should be one, noted, and two, if you're watching this, use this as an inspiration to just think about your highest self. Right. And what do you want to do for the world? What do you want to do? What do you want to contribute to this experience that you're having on this life? And thank you again. Mm-hmm. I love you guys. Love you guys so much.
Absolutely. We love you as well.